Nice to have you on the air.
Good to see you this morning.
And we have a chat weekly here about things that are going on. And what have you been up to recently?
Well, I just was last week over with the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs in our board meeting. This will be my last year. I was president for a couple of years, and now I'm past president, so this is my last year as a voting member on the Sheriffs and Police Chiefs board. And, you know, discussing a lot of issues and what we're looking at for legislative issues for over the next year.
Okay.
Things concerning law enforcement. And I think two of the things that come up that are consistent across the state, and we've talked about here for quite some time, and now everybody seems to be catching on to it, is the jail issues. And surrounding that mainly is the issue of how do we deal with people with mental health issues. It's tremendously challenging. And when you probably go into any one of the jails, any of the sheriffs that have jails in the state of Washington will tell you that dealing with the mental health issue and how do you handle these circumstances is perhaps one of the most difficult. And the second one is, and it's been coming for quite some time, is the issue of heroin right now. It seems like these drug issues, one kind of fades out for a while, another one comes in, one fades out, and heroin clearly is the I say that on the upswing right now in the communities all around the state and all over the country. But just some concerning issues that the sheriffs and chiefs discussed when we were over there.
It seems like it's a pretty cheap drug to get, that people are able to get it pretty easy, right?
Yeah, for the most part, in the drug world, I guess you'd say that it's kind of like supply and demand in economics. Whatever's the less expensive and easiest to get, it becomes kind of the most popular. And when that gets kind of shut down or something happens there, then it evolves into something else, becomes the new offshoot. And right now, it seems to be that heroin around here and pretty much across countries.
Have you seen some new notes as the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization thing has opened up? A lot of cross collaboration there. We've had Bud Blake in, Thurston County Commissioner, talking about that.
I think it's a great thing, so don't get me wrong on it, because everybody needs to be dealing with this issue. As you know, I worked over there for many years. I will tell you that the amount of beds that are open won't even cover the Thurston County area.
Right.
And we paid Mason County money into that, and I don't know how that's going to work for us. It's a positive step. I think that if you talk to the law enforcement leaders in our community, we would really like to have a facility here to serve our people immediately. It's a tremendous challenge, and you combine the mental health issues with the usually most of the time goes hand in hand with the substance abuse issue, and you've got a really a tragic situation in most circumstances.
Okay.
But it's something that we really in the state of Washington and all over the country need to do a better job of dealing with the issues with mental health. Sheriff Paul Pastor at Pierce County wrote a beautiful paper called "Why Jails Aren't Mental Institutions and Why Jails Shouldn't Be Mental Institutions." You know, a jail is not a mental institution.
Right.
A mental institution it shouldn't be set up as a jail, and we cohabitate those too often, and our jails become a stopping place. And it's very challenging for our workers that aren't, we're not psychologists and psychiatrists, but yet we're dealing with those kind of circumstances. And just something to keep your eye on as you'll start seeing across the country as well.
Yeah, and is this something that you all as an organization of the sheriffs are going to push the legislators this year to look, and if you're going to make you do something, make sure you have some of the funding there?
Well, we worked really hard in the law enforcement side of it to get the state to put in mental health training as part of the training for the academy. And there's some qualifications that need to be met by all law enforcement officers. The new officers coming out of the academy will receive the minimum 8 hours training. A number of months ago, I was able to make an arrangement with the Criminal Justice Training Commission to come down here, and we provided that training for 87 officers in our area. And we'll probably try to do that again, but it's just getting the funding to be able to put on the training. That's the challenging part. And again, the Squaxin Island tribe was kind enough to let us use their meeting facilities. It was the only place big enough to use that for an entire day at no cost. We included all our local agencies and our tribal agencies with us, and invited our surrounding counties to come in and sit with us during that training. And it was an 8-hour day. There's a 40-hour class we'd like to have, but to send somebody for 40 hours, everybody in your department, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, as we discussed as sheriffs and chiefs, if you're not going to send your people to that, there's other issues that could be more expensive in the end. So it's worthwhile, but it's just it's a systemic issue. It's not just here or any of the surrounding counties. It's a systemic issue throughout the country, really.
Right. What else do you have?
I heard you talk this morning about driving.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe this car, and they're just sitting there going dirt-to-do, just down the road, the lights and sirens flashing behind them. They didn't move over at all. And then when they finally did start to move, they moved to the left in the fast lane. And so there was hardly any shoulder regardless. It was just a total
I'm so glad to hear you say that. And I'm not sure, were you on 101 when it happened?
It was on 101 right before to turn to I-5.
Fortunately, with 101, you have at least another lane to move into.
Sure.
Take that challenge and put it on Highway 3 going northbound to Belfair or coming southbound to Shelton.
Good point.
Through those curves. And the other point I wanted to make is you talk about people moving over. It's very frustrating when we're doing that. But even worse is we ask people in those situations to pull over and stop. The reason for that is most people want to be nice. They want to pull over, but they keep cruising along. And as they keep moving, they're going into a curve. So as they're going into a curve pulling to the right, we can't pass on the outside of that curve with no sight distance. If people will pull over and stop, it allows you to get around. Our county, I worked over there and worked on I-5 and 101. It's a much easier situation. It's not any better when people won't move over, but at least there's another lane. Here on county roadways, and oftentimes the run out is the ditch.
Yeah.
It's especially challenging, but we really do ask people to pull over. And you made another kind of a comment in there that I thought was important is, especially when you're talking about our medical staff, our firefighters or paramedics trying to get to a scene or get somebody to the hospital, you think about that there's somebody inside there who needs help, or they wouldn't be doing that. And in those circumstances, oftentimes a few seconds can make a difference. And it might be your own family member in there, so please remember to pull over and allow those aid crews to get by, or the emergency vehicles. It's a huge issue.
Oh my gosh. And the other thing that is happening, it just happened this weekend, we're hearing about it, and there's still investigations ongoing as some explosive devices, incendiary devices are found in some parts of New York and New Jersey, and the FBI's looking into it. You had some of these guys here talking about some of this stuff.
Right. I just had one of the investigators from the FBI, that specifically it's his area. I invited him out to my sheriff's law enforcement breakfast because there's so much of this kind of thing going on. And I think some people that were there found it a little alarming. There were some people that really became concerned about some of the things that he talked about. But at the same time, it's very, very real. The issues that he's talking about and where these things can occur. And look what happened back there again on the East Coast. It's very concerning to have a guy that's an expert in it come out here and address that issue for us. It was really nice talking to our local law enforcement officials about that and safety in our schools and things like that. It was really paramount. So I was glad he was out here. I know that there were some people that were kind of alarmed at some of the things he talked about, but it was reality. Sure. And that it can happen anywhere.
Turns out, I guess, a couple of guys look in a garbage can, they see a backpack, they look closer thinking maybe there's something in here that we can take just personally, and then they find something in there. When you see these kind of stories, do you encourage folks to this see something, say something thing, or?
Absolutely. I was just going to bring that up. That's very important. As you know, I don't know, it's been maybe a year ago, or time goes by so quick with all things that happen here. Yeah. We found that hand grenade in the dumpster.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That. All these things fade so quickly because there's another hot topic next week, is something going on in our business. But you look back at those kind of things, or items that are found that resemble that. You don't always know, and especially what's going on now. So to see something, say something, I think is very, very important to let somebody know what's going on, or if there's a concern about a particular individual. I mean, we've seen over the weekend, I don't recall where, Target or somebody, there was somebody stabbed inside a Target store. Yeah. I mean, there's just watching the news in the early morning the last couple of days across the country has just been, it's horrible, some of the things that are happening. On the good side of that, and I talked about this, I think, last week or last time I spoke to you, I think that we're very, very fortunate here in Mason County. During a lot of these issues that have happened nationwide, some of these terrible tragedies that have happened, I can't tell you how many times people have either brought things into our office, left things in our office, stopped by and thanked law enforcement, and the reach out from our citizens to the work that all the people in the emergency services are doing has been fantastic. And I don't know if that's true of all the communities. I'm sure that, you know, other communities get some of the same thing, but I will tell you that the outreach to our office, particularly people coming by, and the number of nice notes and letters and emails that come in are really appreciated, and it's nice to live in a community
Sure.
like that.
I bet it is. I bet it is. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury on the air with us this week and every week, talking about some of the news that's been going on. Thank you for coming in this morning, talking with me, and we'll talk next week.